Do you guys ever notice how the only times during the day you'll ever come up with good ideas or solutions to your problems are usually when you're going to sleep or you're in the shower? And what do these two things have in common? Well, it's probably the only times during your day, or most people's day, when you're not stimulated in any way. You're just there alone with your thoughts. And if you really think about it, as soon as you wake up in the morning, the first thing everybody does is they go on their phone. And from that point forward to the end of the day, everyone's either audibly or visually stimulated in some way for the entirety of the day. You're in your car, you're driving to work, you're probably listening to music, you're listening to a podcast. When you get to work, you're focused on your work, or maybe you're still listening to music, stuff like that. You go to the gym, what are you doing? You're probably listening to music, listening to podcasts. And you get home from work, what are you doing? You're probably watching TV, you're probably watching a movie, you're playing games. And then you get ready, take your shower, boom, you have some time to think, unless you're listening to music or something. And then you go to sleep, and it's the same thing. When you go to sleep is the one time during the day where you actually are alone with your thoughts. And people wonder why they have a hard time going to sleep, because that's the one time since you've been awake that day that you've actually given yourself some time to be in your default state and just let your thoughts run free. And I wanted to talk about it because having something to do all the time I don't think it's good for us. You know, I have made diligent efforts to try and limit the amount of stimulation I'm getting in a day, and some of the ways I like to do this that maybe you could try as well. When I go to the gym, I try not to listen to music or anything like that. I'm just there, I'm focusing on getting a good workout, and I'm letting myself just think. When I get home, and say for instance I'm reading or something, I try to not have any background music or anything else that can possibly distract me. It's just one task that I'm focused on. And a lot of people will read, for example, but they'll have background music going on, they'll have TV in the background, there'll be people around them, and nobody's ever just focusing on one thing. And I really encourage you to just give yourself some downtime, because the reason so many people aren't very creative these days, or just feel like their mind is so tired all the time, is because you're not giving the mind this time it needs to decompress and just be itself and let thoughts flow. When you give yourself this downtime, you're gonna, like I said, you're gonna be more creative, and your mind is gonna feel more refreshed during the day. And I don't know how to describe it, but I'm sure many of you can relate. It's to just that feeling when your brain just feels full. It feels like you're stressed out. You're anxious, because all you've been doing all day is stimulate it, and not giving it any time to wind down and relax. And I encourage you to try and put chunks in your day where you cut out time to just let yourself be. You can focus on one task, whether it's doing the dishes, going on a walk is an excellent one. Even meditation, you're not really letting yourself think, but you're focused on one thing and one thing only. And you're not doing this draining multitasking that is so common, everybody does these days. And that's the huge benefit I've noticed. You always hear people say they're super tired during the day, and then once it's time to go to sleep, they have all this energy. But yeah, when you cut out time during the day to let yourself relax mentally, physically, when you go to sleep, your mind is going to be ready to sleep, because that's not the only time during the day you've given it a chance to decompress and think things over. I can't stress this enough. This is the main reason why people are so stimulated at night, is because their brain has been focused on all these useless issues, these useless tasks, the distracting tasks during the day, that when it's time to come to sleep, your brain is actually trying to figure out all the purposeful things you've done through the day, problems that actually do need to be solved. And Of course, it's going to naturally want to work through those issues, but it's not at the right time. That should be done earlier in the day. For example, when you're on a walk and you can let yourself think freely. You don't want to do it at the one, you don't want to leave the only time right at the end of the day when you're supposed to be giving yourself the rest that your body needs. So try that out. Try to just cut little things out during your day. I'm not saying don't ever do the things you enjoy. I like to listen to music. I'm sure everybody does, but I've tried to sometimes drive to work without music or drive home without music. Just give yourself little breaks every now and then where you can just focus on one thing when you don't have any background distractions. There's no multitasking. And that's my two common ones are going to walk without your phone, without listening to anything, and going to the gym and exercising without listening to anything. Give yourself those 2 times. And also another one is the shower. Most of the time, I know a lot of people like to listen to music in the shower, but that's a perfect time to let yourself think and relax, both mentally and physically. And that's why I always hear people talk about they come up with all these shower ideas, because it's the perfect place to do it. You don't have your phone in there, I hope, and there's no other form of distraction. It's just you and your thoughts and some relaxing hot water. But give some of these a try and let me know how it goes. I really think it'll benefit you mentally, and you're going to feel a lot more refreshed during the day and just less stressed, less anxious. And if I can help one of you do that, then this video was successful. So thanks, guys.